So Bryan Fischer, the Christian commentator and definitely not at all a bigot, recently came out with a, let's say, interesting view on why we don't have dinosaurs around anymore. What? Oh, come on. Just because he wants to criminalize how people love one another and claims that members of the LGBT community are the major perpetrators of hate crime, when statistically they're more likely to be the victims of such, doesn't mean he's any kind of hateful, homophobic bigot who wants to control everybody's behavior that doesn't even affect him. Anyway, he has a theory as to why we don't see dinosaurs around anymore. We actually do, they're called birds, but that's beside the point. He explains why the impressive Jurassic Park-esque creatures aren't around. Let's take a listen.
You know, we believe, I have no hesitation saying this because I do not doubt the Word of God, I have no hesitation in affirming that man coexisted with dinosaurs. Now, people will tell me I'm a Neanderthal, I'm a Cro-Magnon, this is superstition, it's old wives' tale. I don't care because my trust and confidence is in the Word of God. So that Word of God indicates that we walked the earth with dinosaurs. Well, where are they? How come they didn't survive?
Well, as I mentioned, they did survive to this day. But due to changing environmental pressures, the descendants of what we picture when we talk about dinosaurs are now birds. We can trace the evolution of past dinosaurs to modern birds through the intermediate species like Archaeopteryx, which shared features of both groups, like feathers on its arms, but teeth and a bony tail. So yes, he is technically correct when he says that man coexisted with dinosaurs.
You are technically correct. The best kind of correct.
But not the ones we think of when we mention dinosaurs. Those ones went extinct a few million years before Homo sapiens like Fischer came on the scene. And here's his explanation for why.
Remember that when the flood came, you had little tiny dinosaurs on the ark. There's no reason why they couldn't have come on the ark. You got a couple of young male and female rhinos and a couple of young female and male Tyrannosaurus rexes. So they're tiny. They can be on the ark. And so why didn't they survive? Why didn't they survive after the flood was over? Well, what I'm suggesting is that when the flood happened, remember, it just wiped everything out. It just destroyed. It swept across the planet, and it destroyed vegetation. It knocked down trees. It wiped out grasslands. It wiped out vegetation. All of that was just wiped out by these floodwaters. And so when these giant dinosaurs, who were what? They were vegetarians. They were herbivores. We know from looking at their teeth that they ate plants. Now, the Tyrannosaurus was obviously a carnivore with the kind of teeth it had. But what's it going to eat? It has to eat herbivores, right? What else is there to eat? He's got to eat animals that survive on Earth. Well, if all of the vegetation is wiped out, what are the brachiosauruses? What are they going to eat? So they die out. They just literally starve to death. And the Tyrannosauruses don't have anything to eat, so they starve to death.
Not sure if you realize this, but what you've done is pointed out a fairly significant plot hole in the whole flood narrative. Not as big as, say, advanced aliens landing on a planet covered in the substance that would kill them with no protective gear, but still a major plot hole. Yes, I will grant you that if herbivorous dinosaurs were on the Ark, they wouldn't find much remaining vegetation on the recently flooded Earth after debarking. Or should I say, de-arking? And so yes, they would have starved out. What you fail to take into account is where this logical train of thought should also go. What about the other herbivores on the Ark? No vegetation for dinosaurs means no vegetation for the other animals either. For example, an elephant would need between 200 and 600 pounds of food a day, which they would not be able to find after the flood washed away all the vegetation, as you claim. Noah and his family wouldn't even be able to fit enough food for them on the Ark for the trip. Where would they pack everything needed to care for these elephants? In their trunks? Do it! So, if your argument is that certain animals died out from lack of vegetation, how could other animals also needing massive amounts of vegetation, survive in the post-flood world.
It's not rocket surgery, ladies and gentlemen.
Wait, did he just use the term rocket surgery? Has that ever happened?
Doctor, would you care to assist me in performing surgery on a torpedo? Fascinating.
Okay, I'll allow it.
It's not rocket surgery, ladies and gentlemen, to suggest a rational explanation for what happened to the larger animal.
Yes, it isn't rocket surgery to give an explanation, but that explanation just causes more problems for your story. Also, what's your reasoning for the not-so-large dinosaurs? Contrary to the movies, a velociraptor was roughly the size of a turkey. The ones we commonly think of would more likely be a Utah raptor. So, if your argument is that the larger herbivore and carnivore dinosaurs died out from lack of sustenance, why didn't the smaller ones like Velociraptor and Albertodromeus die out as well? And why didn't larger animals starve to death like Pantheria leo and Pantheria tigris and Ursidae?
Oh my.
What? You thought Takei was the only one that got to say that?